All right. Can everybody see everything on screen all right?
Yes.
Awesome. So I wanted to kind of start by reading through the accounts here that's both in Jubilees and Genesis, and then, comparing it to so I put all these dates together on the Zadok calendar layout. It's actually pretty amazing and interesting when you lay it all out. And we're going to walk through it right now through the scriptures. So starting in Jubilees, it's chapter 5. And this is going to be before actually the events that happen here in Genesis 7, just slightly before it. So it's good to say, starting in verse 21, so Jubilees 5:21, and he commanded Noah to make himself an ark, that he might save himself from the waters of the flood. And Noah made the ark in all respects as he commanded him. In the 27th Jubilee of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year, and it's on the head of the first month. So new moon is actually incorrect here. Actually, the word is Chodesh, and it's the head of the first month. So day 1, month 1 is when YAHUAH commanded Noah to start building the ark. And let me kind of show you that here on the layout. So there's quite a few things that happens as the years go by. So it covers a 2-year period, actually, is what I found out. So Jubilees 5:22, the ark is constructed. And it's going to be day 1, month 1, which is the head of months, right when the equinox happens. Day 4 marker. Pretty amazing. And then, so I took some notes as well on it. So we got the ark constructed, and it's beginning in the 5th year, or year 5. And that's Jubilees 5:22, and it's also in 6, verse 25. And chapter 6, verse 25 is, and on the head of the first month, he was told to make an ark. So it says it twice there in Jubilees. And then, so Jubilees 5:23. So, and he entered in the 6th year, in the 2nd month, on the head of the 2nd month, until the 16th. And he entered, and all that we brought with him, into the ark. And YAHUAH closed it from without on the 17th evening. So what it's saying here is, on the head of the 2nd month, he started bringing in the animals into the ark and all that until the 16th. And that's right here when it starts to get into it in Genesis in chapter 7. Chapter 7:11. So in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the Shamayim were opened. And the rain was on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. So back to Jubilees 5. So that's what we're going to read here in verse 23. So, and he entered in the 6th year in the 2nd month, on the head of the 2nd month. Or, excuse me, we just read that. And YAHUAH closed it from without on the 17th evening. And YAHUAH opened up 7 windows of the Shamayim, and the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number. So Jubilees actually gives us a little bit more detail about it as well. And then let me share this on the calendar here. Just kind of show you. So then we go down to month 2. So on the head of the second month, he begins to enter with all the animals, all the way until the 15th, which, interesting enough, is the Sabbath day. And then on the 17th, this is when the flood began. So Genesis 7:11, Jubilees 5:23. And so yeah, this is year 6, as we read in Jubilees. So it took him an entire year to build the ark, and then on the 6th year, he was bringing him and all the animals inside of it.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
the 17th of the second month, is that the same day that Hasatan deceived Eve?
I'm not sure. Is it?
I think so. Here, I'm opening Jubilees right now. I believe it
Interesting.
was,
That'd be very interesting.
yeah. Hold on one sec. Yep. After the
Wow.
completion of 7 years, in which he completed there 7 years exactly, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman, and the serpent said to the woman, "Hath Yah commanded you, saying, shall you not eat of every tree in the garden?" So it's the
Wow.
same. Yeah.
Wow. That's why that's such a significant date then. I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a good find. That's in Jubilees as well, right?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Interesting.
Yes, there
We'll
are
have to add.
several. There are several things that happens on the 17th or the 15th
Right, which is why we
to do
can't
with the
make
flood.
a detestable day a day of a holy day, or a holy day a detestable day, because there are certain days that he has things happen, and and yeah, sorry, just
Yeah. No, that's pretty amazing. Thank you. That's a good find. Thank you for pointing that out. Both of you sisters, thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Just another example why we all need each other. And then so the flood begins, as we just read, Genesis 7:11 and Jubilees 5:23. And then the 40 days and 40 nights of rain, it's going to be found Genesis 12 and 17 and Jubilees 5:24 through 25. And Genesis 12 or 7:12, and the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And then in verse 17, and the flood was on the earth 40 days. And the waters increased and lifted up the ark and rose it high above the earth. And Jubilees 24 through 25, and Yahuwah opened up 7 windows of the Shamayim, and the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number, and the windows began to pour down water from the Shamayim 40 days and 40 nights. And the fountains of the deep also sent up waters until the whole earth was filled with water. And I just think it's pretty amazing how Jubilees is just lining up with exactly what Genesis is saying. And it just further proves, the book of Jubilees is valid and it's absolutely inspired. just one of the many reasons. And let's see, let's go back to Genesis chapter 7. And then, so on the same day, Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and 3 wives of his sons with them went into the ark. They and every living creature after its kind, and every beast after its kind, every creeping creature that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. They went into the ark 2 by 2, of all flesh, which is in the breath of life. So a lot of people will mistake this as saying, oh, look, they only went in 2 at a time. But in other places it tells you there's 2 of the unclean and then 7 of the clean. They were just marching next to each other, like 2 by 2, to get into the ark. So, and those going in, male and female of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him. And YAHUAH shut him in. And the flood was on the earth 40 days, and the waters increased and lifted up the ark and rose it high above the earth. And the waters were mighty and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters were exceedingly mighty on the earth, and all the high mountains under all the Shamayim were covered. And we'll go to read a little bit more here in Jubilees as well to see. So we read, I think we read 25. I'll go ahead and start here at 25. So Jubilees 5:25. And the windows began to pour down water from the Shamayim for 40 days and 40 nights. And the fountains of the deep also sent up waters until the whole earth was filled with water. And the waters increased upon the earth 15 amah. The waters rose above all the mountains. And the ark was lifted up above the earth, and it moved upon the face of the waters. And the waters were mighty on the face of the earth 5 months, 150 days. And the ark went and rested at the top of Lubar, one of the mountains of Ararat, which is pretty amazing. So we can read the same thing here. So he wiped off all the sand which were on the face of the ground, both man, beast, creeping bird, on the Shamayim. So this is Genesis 7:23. And they were wiped from the earth, and only Noah was left and those with him in the ark. And the waters were mighty on the earth 150 days. And then chapter 8. And Elohim remembered Noah and all the beasts and the cattle that were with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth. The waters subsided. And the fountains of the deep and the windows of the Shamayim were stopped, and the rain from the Shamayim was withheld. So, if we go into, we'll kind of map this out on the calendar again. All right, so from the 17th here in the second month, we go down, excuse me. So the third month, the 27th of the third month is going to be the 40 days, which is Genesis 7:12 and 17, and Jubilees 5:25. And then we keep going. So in Jubilees, actually 6:26, it's going to tell us on the head of the 4th month, which it's one of the months that start after the 4 intercalary days. So one of the seasonal days, this is one of them. And then here, this is going to be when the abyss were closed to stop like bringing water onto the earth. which we'll read in Jubilees here in just a moment. Then we go to month 5, month 6, and then we get to month 7. And so Jubilees 626 also states this is when the abysses opened up to take back in the water that they just let out, like a drain. But we go to month 7, exactly 5 months later, 150 days later, lands boom right here on Sukkot. So this 150 days, boom, stopped right here on Sukkot, the day of Sukkot. And then when the ark came to rest, right here, day 6, it came to rest on preparation day because the Sabbath was the next day, which is, I find it pretty interesting. So let me switch screens and we'll read through this in the notes here. So we showed the 40 days and 40 nights, the 150 days of the flood waters, Genesis 24, Jubilees 527. So we just read that there. So fountains closed to stop the waters and opened to drain. So Jubilees 529. And on the head of the 4th month, the fountains of the great deep were closed, and the windows of the Shamayim were restrained. And on the head of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the water began to descend into the deep below. And the ark came to rest on top of the mountain. We're going to read that in Genesis 8:4 and Jubilees 5:28. So we just saw this laid out on the map as well. Let's go read it in Genesis and Jubilees here. So Genesis chapter 8. We'll just start right here from the verse 1. So, and Elohim remembered Noah, and all the beasts and the cattle that were with him on the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. And the fountains of the deep and the windows of the Shamayim were stopped, and the rain from the Shamayim was withheld. So, as we see, Jubilees is saying exactly the same thing. It's just going on to the exact dates when things happened. It just gives us a little bit more details. So, and the waters receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of 150 days, the waters diminished. And in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat. Exactly what Jubilee says. And the waters decreased steadily until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains became visible. So we're going to go to Jubilees 5. So the ark rested, so Jubilees 5:28, and the ark rested on top of Lubar, one of the mountains of Ararat. And on the head of the 4th month, the fountains of the great deep were closed, the windows of the Shamayim were restrained. And on the head of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the water began to descend into the deep below. And on the head of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were visible. And on the head of the 1st month, the earth became visible. So right here it's saying the exact same as Genesis, but it's also telling us when the earth became visible. Like, you could see the dry land. So we'll go through that here on the calendar. So month 8, month 9, month 10. So Genesis 8, Jubilees 6:27 also talks about it as well. So the tops of the mountains became visible. And then we'll go to month 11. So this is going to be 40 days later, which we're going to get into. In Genesis 8:6, the windows are opened on the ark. A week later, the second dove was sent out because he had sent out the first dove. The second dove came out, or he sent the second one out, and it came back with the olive branch. And then he sent it out again the next week as well, which is pretty interesting. Month 11, 11. And then I don't think anything happened in month 12, but then we go back to month 1. And this is when we could start to see the face of the earth. The surface had dried. Not completely dried, but it was dried so that you can see it. And this is going to be Genesis 8:13, Jubilees 6:25, and 5:22. And it says the same thing in Jubilees 6:25 because these are the things that they were the festival days that Noah had ordained, and they're all these the heads of the month that land after the seasonal intercalary days.
And those are the ones that you blow the shofar on, right? Those
Yeah,
are
exactly,
okay.
yes, precisely.
I'm sorry, which days do you blow the shofar?
The
Which
four
days?
seasonal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, where were we? Here, we'll go back to the scriptures here. So, we'll just continue reading in Jubilees 5 here. And verse 31. So, the waters disappeared from the earth in the 5th week, in the 7th year. So, this is showing the 7th year. And on the 17th day in the 2nd month, the earth was dry. So there's that 17th day of the 2nd month again, and the earth became dry. And then on the 27th, he opened the ark and sent out from it beasts and cattle and birds and every moving creature. So we read the 10th. So back here in Genesis chapter 8. So we read the 10th month, first day of the month. And it came to be at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent out a raven, which kept going out and turning back until the waters had dried up from the earth. And he sent out the dove from him to see if the waters had receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for its feet, and it returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of all the earth. So he put out his hand and took it, and pulled it into the ark himself. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out from the ark. And the dove came to him in the evening, and see, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in its mouth. And Noah had knew that the waters had receded from the earth. And he waited yet another 7 days, and sent the dove out, which did not return to him again. And it came to be in the 601st year, in the 1st month, on the 1st day of the month, that all the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and saw the surface of the ground was dry. So lining up with exactly what Jubilees is saying again. So, and on the 2nd month, the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. And Elohim spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and your wives with you. Bring out with you every living creature of all flesh that is with you, of birds, cattle, all creeping creatures, that creep on the earth, and let them teem on the earth, and bear and increase on the earth. So Noah went out with his sons, and his sons' wives with him. So we'll map this out on the layout here, the calendar layout. So the surface, month 1, head of the month. Jubilees and Genesis both confirming. And we come back around to month 2, so this is a year later after the flood had began. And Jubilees, this is stating when the earth had dried up, the specific day. And then both Genesis and Jubilees, the 27th day of the second month, this is when Noah and his children and all the animals were sent out from the ark. And so, yeah, we read this one already. First day of the 10th months. Yep, we read that. The ark windows were opened, and the raven and dove sent out. So we just read that. Earth became dry and visible. So year 7. Interesting year 7, huh? So yeah, Jubilee, Genesis 8:13, Jubilees 5:22, and 6:25. So Jubilees 6:25. So we read the first half of it up there. We're reading the second half of it here, but we'll go read it all in full there in just a moment. But it says, and on that day the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth. And the earth completely dried. Noah and the animals went out from the ark, which can be found Genesis 8:14 through 17 and Jubilees 5:31 through 32. So this is where we'll get into where Noah is building the altar. So Genesis chapter 8. So verse 19. And every beast and every creeping creature and every bird, whatever creeps on the earth, according to their kinds, went out of the ark. And Noah built an altar to YAHUAH, and took of every clean beast and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And YAHUAH smelled a soothing fragrance. And YAHUAH said in his heart, never again shall I curse the ground because of man, although the inclination of man's heart is evil from his youth. And never again smite all life as I have done. As long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. So, Jubilees chapter 6. So, and on the head of the 3rd month, he went out from the ark and built an altar on the mountain. And he made atonement for the earth, and took a young goat, and made atonement for its blood with all the guilt of the earth. And for all that had been on it had been destroyed, except for those that were in the ark with Noah. And he placed the fat of it on the altar, and he took a bull and a goat and a male goat, and salt, and a turtle dove, and a pigeon, and placed a burnt offering on the altar, and poured an offering on it, mixed with oil, and sprinkled wine, and spread frankincense all over, and caused a sweet fragrance to arise, acceptable before YAHUAH. So as we see, Jubilees is also saying the same things as Genesis. it's just going into more detail about what exactly happened there. And then he tells them, increase and multiply on the earth, become numerous on it, just like he told Adam and Eve. Pretty interesting. So we'll check this out on the calendar again.
So from Adam to the flood, how many years? It's about almost 2,000, right? Almost 2,000 years since from
I
Adam
think
to
that,
Noah.
yeah, I think that's what it says. I'd have to double check, but I think so. I think that's in Jubilees as well, actually. So yeah, month 3, the head of the month. This is when Noah built the altar and made the atonement sacrifice for the earth, and Yahuwah accepted it. And that's when he gave the covenant of the rainbow, the promise never to flood the earth with water again. But as you can see, basically all these dates and days are very important days on the Zadok calendar, and they line up perfectly with it, and for reasons which actually in Jubilees 6 it gets into, which we can read here a little bit. So Jubilees 6, and I think it starts, let me find it. So here's where he talks about the rainbow covenant and how it's a sign he's not going to flood the earth again with the water. And then this is when he starts observing Shavuot again. Let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is. So, verse 23. So, Jubilees 6:23. So, again, the word new moon is not actually here. It's actually, and on the head of the first month, and on the head of the 4th month, and on the head of the 7th month, and on the head of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons, and the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a witness forever. And as we saw in the calendar layout, all 4 of these days, this is what happened on all these days. So and Noah ordained them for himself as festivals for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial to him. And on the head of the 1st month, he was told to make an ark, and on that day the earth became dry, and he opened up the ark and saw the earth. And on the head of the 4th month, the mouths of the depths of the abyss beneath the earth were closed. And on the head of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abyss of the earth were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. Which is interesting because that's also the Day of Trumpets, the head of the 7th month. And on the head of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on account of this, he ordained them for himself as festivals for a memorial forever, and thus they are ordained. So this is why, especially this verse here, 6:28, all 4 of these heads of months that happen just after the intercalary days, the seasonal ones, these are all festivals. They were ordained as festivals. So they are basically Yahuwah's Moedim. This is why, there is emphasis on them in the scriptures. That's exactly what they call new moon in scriptures, but it's not new moon. It's the head of these 4 months. And it has to do with the 4 seasonal intercalated days. And they've twisted scriptures so much that unless you realize this information and Chodesh has nothing to do with moon, you would have no idea. And it lays out on the calendar according to the sons of Zadok perfectly. Like, very important things happened on a lot of these dates. And I'm sure actually on every single one of these dates something important has happened. Like the 17th of the second month, like the sisters were saying. I'm sure if we go around and read, we could probably find more events that would happen on all these dates. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
I do. Sorry. Just trying to follow
Yeah.
along here. But so month 1, month 4, month 7, and month 10 are head of months, but they are not the intercalary days, are they? No.
No, they're the day after them.
The day after. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Heard something. I got confused. Okay, and those are festival days, or no, or were?
Yeah, according to Jubilees, they are.
Okay. Okay. Does it say what it is, or do, or just to mark them as a festival day? Well, no.
Well, that's where Psalms comes in. It says, "Blow the shofar on the head of the month."
Okay.
A lot of people translate that as new moon, but it's actually the head of the months, and it's talking about these 4 heads of months. So we're to blow the shofar on them.
Okay. But not every head of the month, just 1, 4, 7, and 10.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's pretty interesting. It covers like an exact 2-year timeline as well on the calendar.
So one more question, Jeremy. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
on month 10 would be, well, whatever, Gregorian December 17th, which would be the winter gate. So you would blow the shofar on that day and then again on day 1, correct? Am I correct in saying that, or no?
Sure, you can if you want.
I didn't
I
know.
think
Okay. I didn't know if it was something
so.
supposed to.
So even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says they call them tekufas, and it's the heads of the months, which are the days that are following the 4 intercalated seasonal days. So in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's saying the heads of these months are the tekufas. So I would imagine it would just be on these 4
Gotcha.
heads of months.
Okay. Not on the gate months. Okay. Got it. Gate.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And I'll share the PDF actually of my notes and the calendar here in the newer group, which actually I want to start doing these over there on the newer group as well. I think this Sabbath we'll do just one last meeting here in this group, and then we'll just go fully to the other one, just because it's more organized. I just want everyone to have a chance to get over there, Let me share those notes real quick. Give me just a moment here.
Will you keep this page up for chit chat, and then the new page for these videos, these live videos, as well as the links?
Yeah. I'm still
Okay.
going to keep this one up, definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay. So this will be a good one for chit chatting, and the other one will be for the live and the links and
Yeah.
PDFs. Okay, great.
All right, so I shared them both there in the other chat. Let me get them in this one as well. Yeah, you can add that one to the group, Sister Adrian. Yeah, let me get these ones in here. All right, so I just shared both the links or the PDFs in the both chats. So they should be in there. Yeah, just double checking. Sure are. Yeah, and actually in the other group, I did want to make like a health care topic, like for health and different types of foods and things. And then I want to make like a section for preparedness, prepping, and off-grid kind of stuff as well. Even though the main focus of this is like studying out the calendar, but I believe those things are important as well because our bodies are the temple. So we got to take care of our bodies. And then if we do have to, flee the cities, exactly as scripture says, it's good to be prepared. Yeah, there is also the Facebook group there. Yeah, much needed as we pull away more from the mainstream, which is trying to kill us. Yeah, it's part of fully getting out of Babylon. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything they would like to add? It's all right.
So this is just a tiny bit off topic, if I can.
Sure.
I was reading Esdras, and now only a couple verses, and I plan on going all the way through Jubilees and Revelation, but it almost seems like the 144,000 were the ones that were reigning with Yahusha during the millennial reign, possibly. And the ones that come after, like that are part of the second resurrection, are the great multitude. And I could be getting that wrong, but I just figured I'd kind of like throw it out there and see if anybody else had anything to say on that.
Yeah, that seems Seems accurate to me.
It's still weird to think that, we could potentially be, in Hasatan's little season. And, but I mean, I feel like I just get more and more sure, like every day, just with reading things and, really going out in the world and witnessing everything. I just came across an article today, and I didn't even have any clue that here in the United States, there are 37 states that actually allow minors to be married as small as the age of 10. And that's here
Wow.
in the United States. And they're trying to
Yikes.
even lower that. And I had no idea that was even a thing in the United States. I thought that was in other countries, definitely, but I had no idea that 37 states, as long as the parents can sign off on it, minors can be allowed to be in a marriage with a grown adult.
That's wild. Like, that just goes to show, that that's been the whole plan this whole time. And I believe in California they're trying to like legalize that without parental consent.
Right.
That's just legalized pedophilia.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, that's essentially what that is.
And I think
And
that's when all the cults start. There was a cult. They were like western of the country, and they were like up, I think, in Washington or something, and then they moved down and had, I can't remember the name of the cult, another movie I was watching, but like a documentary, and that way they would have their children marry at like age 12, a grown old men. Crazy.
Yeah, it's really shameful and disgusting, honestly.
now it's in the Talmud too that young girls can marry, right?
Yeah, it is. It's in the Talmud that they can do whatever they like to minor children, and it doesn't matter.
Mm.
I can't even repeat what it says, but it's very disgusting, honestly.
Which is crazy because I've read some of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I can't remember. I don't know if it's the Temple Scroll but like consenting age for two adults was 20, and they couldn't be married until they were about 20.
In the scriptures, doesn't it say that it's from 20 years and up that they can be in the army?
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 years is like the age of consent, basically, biblically.
Right. And so like when I was reading Jasher, I think that was another like red flag to me. It sounded very pharisaical or very Talmudic, because they were talking about Joseph's younger brother Benjamin being married at the age of 10 and having like 4 wives and
Yeah,
begetting children at that age. And I was like, there's no way. Like,
that that's one of the red flags in the book of Jasher to me as well. There's a lot of red flags in there, and
yeah.
I
There's
I
so many I
personally,
couldn't even count, really.
yeah, and that's why I'm saying, it's good to test every book, and for that exact reason. There's a lot of people that will accept Jasher as scriptures. I personally don't. I mean, there could be some truth here and there in it, just like there is in everything else, but it's got that very, Talmudic kind of appeal to their authority type writings in it.
I mean, if there is, I honestly haven't seen. I mean, again, this is just my opinion. I haven't really seen anything that's like, this is definitely true and doesn't contradict scripture at all. I mean, I feel like even the timeline in the book of Jasher is off. And I was confused at the fact that Jasher claims that Esau was the one that beheaded Nimrod. But I feel like Nimrod's timeline and the timeline of Jacob and Esau in the Bible and in Jubilees are vastly different.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's no way that Esau would have been able to do that.
Yeah, that's why things just don't quite line up there. Yeah, you're very right.
A lot of the writings by the Jew scribes, which were the fake Jews, and they have a lot of Nephilim in their bloodlines, a lot of Nephilim, and they love throwing off the timeline, like the Masoretic text, which meant most of the modern Bible translations are from the Masoretic text, is over 1,000 years off. And they love screwing up the timeline so they can keep lies and pass them off as truth. So we just have to be very discerning.
That's very
Well, I think
true.
that's why it's very important to, again, that's why I really do believe it's very important to figure out where we are on that timeline now more than ever.
Yeah, for sure.